Well, good morning, good afternoon. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Annette Richmond. This is the Smarter Career and Business Moves live show and podcast. I'm so sorry for that. I actually the play came on my other screen and I was monitoring, so that got a little glitchy there. So, Tina, I am so excited to have you here with me. I miss you so much. We used to hang together like almost every day. And so, for anyone who doesn't know you, please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, Annette. Thank you so much for having me. So, I'm Tina Jarvet. I work as a headhunter in Belgium. I also work as a career strategy consultant. I worked over 18 years in the executive search industry and looking at people's LinkedIn profiles and CVs. That's what I do all day. Besides interviewing them and coaching them how to land their dream jobs.
Well, I know that there are tons of people watching us, and this is such a great topic. People always wonder, what are the recruiters really looking for? What are the headhunters looking for? How should I do this? How should I do that? And people like me talk to them and say, oh, do this, do that. But when you really hear from you, who is actually looking at LinkedIn profiles to decide, should I have that candidate, should I interview them or just pass them by, is always a real big deal, exciting for people. So I'd love to just jump right in and start by asking you, what are the things, maybe five things that you look for when you're going through LinkedIn, because I know you spend hours on there. I used to do that myself. What are the five things that you really look for that are kind of most important to you?
Well, the first thing is when I see somebody's profile, I want to make sure that it's a real profile, authentic profile, because there are so many fake profiles on LinkedIn. So I want to make sure that there is a real person behind it. And the easiest way is when you have filled in the basic fields of LinkedIn, like your name, your headline. So and that you have a profile picture that it just feels like a valid LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember, there are a lot of going on. You're talking about the fake LinkedIn profiles. And I remember looking at a profile and thinking, gee, that person looks familiar, but I know I don't know them. And it turned out it was the photo of an actress from like the 1980s that I used to watch on one of my favorite series. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's definitely not her. And so, and right now we know that LinkedIn is aware of the fake profiles. I think they're kind of doing two parts to that. One is the verified profile.
Yes.
I'd like to know about your feelings about that. And the second thing is that we know that they are removing sort of hibernated
Yes.
and fake accounts. And I think I was one of the first ones to get hit with that because all of a sudden I started losing followers. Like, it was like 100 and then another 100. I was like, oh my goodness, people can't just all of a sudden not like me anymore. And now I know we know it's rolling out across. So what are your feelings on those two things?
Well, actually, this morning I had a very positive surprise. So when I went on your profile, I saw that you have a verified ID. So
Yes.
that is something I never seen before. I've seen that people have verified their phone numbers, that they have verified their company email addresses, or that they have updated recently their LinkedIn photo, like
Mhm.
less than a month ago, or 3 months ago, or 6 months ago. So even if you have the same photo and you're happy with it and you haven't changed much in your appearance, you can just upload your photo again, but it shows that this profile is active. Because it happens that I send emails to candidates and I don't get any reply. So I don't know how often they log into LinkedIn, if they are there every day like I am. But people who are not actively looking for new jobs, which is the people I'm contacting, I don't know how often they come to LinkedIn, if they even receive the messages that I send. So that's why it's really good to see the activity, that you're active on the profile.
Yeah, I know you are the headhunter who a company says, Tina, we need this person. And you're going and looking for people who are employed, maybe people from the competition, the company's
Exactly.
competition, to steal them away. So, my feeling is you kind of should always maybe not be looking, but always be open. And so, is it a good policy, even if you're not looking, to maybe log into LinkedIn, I don't know, every couple of weeks or something, or once a week, or put your email in your about section or something so people can, someone like you can, get in touch with them?
Yes, and you also get messages from LinkedIn if you get a message through the platform. But like you said, I work with people who are not actively looking for new positions, and it can happen that they have reached their potential inside their own company, that they need a bigger and more international environment. So there are always challenges or opportunities that you don't know about, but also I work with internal candidates, so people who work in the same company, whom I interview, and I assess their skills the same way as I assess people who are external. So that's why it's important that you put as much information on your profile about your uh, promotions, internal promotions, that I know that maybe you have been a marketing manager for 10 years, but what have you done? Have you had different projects? Have you had, has your team grown? All those things, it's really interesting to put on your LinkedIn profile, even if you're not looking. But there are so many companies who have layoffs going on globally, that we always should be proactive and prepared, because you never know what can happen. And those things, we don't have any impact over what happens in the world, but we can at least keep our side of the street clean and updated.
I love that you said that, the idea of being promoted. And I don't know if people do this as much on LinkedIn. I think probably sometimes they do, and people do tend to do this sometimes on their resume. Is they put all, if they've had 3 positions with one company, they put it all under like the most recent and highest level position,
Yeah.
because for some reason they think that looks better. But yet, when you see promoted, 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 that's way better, right?
Yes, and not only that, also the LinkedIn algorithm promotes that. So the people who have held several positions in the same company, so at least 2 positions, they are on top of the list. If I do a keyword search in the LinkedIn recruiter version. So that's why it's so important to write them out. And then I can come to you with the right level of opportunities. Otherwise, if you have moved on, it will be just a sideways move, and most people are not interested in those positions. So it really is beneficial to everyone. But I understand that if you don't have to update it, most people don't do it. But it doesn't take long to do it. So it's a good idea to do it every 3 or every 6 months, to have a look at your own profile.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So, another thing I would imagine would make you realize that it's a real profile, is if they have the profile video, because I don't know that you can have a bot do that, right?
Annette, to be totally honest, I haven't come across any candidates who have a profile video so far. So most people, they just don't have the profile video. I encourage them to do that, but it's more people who have their own companies, and maybe marketing people who have it. But let's say average user,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even come across the name pronunciation feature that you can record with your phone, that you can have a 10-second name pronunciation. It really helps me because I always want to make sure I pronounce the person's name correctly. And I have a complicated name, so I want to give the possibility to people to at least, if they want to make the effort to pronounce it correctly, to hear it. And those are really the features that are not that often used.
So, two things. My name is, kind of easy to pronounce, although people do mispronounce it from time to time. But, I use the name pronunciation just to say, hi, thanks for coming to my profile.
Yes.
And there's like, you can use it. I'm a firm believer in using like everything that you can. If it's there and it's free, use it. But tell me though about a profile video. So if you're scrolling down and you see one, does that make you, would that make you say, oh, let me at least, maybe take a look, even if maybe you weren't going to?
Well, in the LinkedIn Recruiter version, I don't even see the banner. So the video is not visible to me.
Oh, okay.
But let's say companies are nowadays more and more asking candidates to record a video resume. And if I can see that you are comfortable on video, that already helps. And it doesn't have to be a 5-minute video. Really, 28-second video, you can say a lot. And people can hear your voice. They can see your energy, how you talk. That really makes a good impression if it's well done.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, and I'm going to mention it too. I have a close friend of mine right now who's going through that, and she is into the rounds and is now part of the round that she's in. I think might be the third round or something of interviews. Mm-hmm. Each candidate had to make a video, and they had to kind of go over the, what they had already been asked. But, they were told, oh, you can be creative or something. And, she's been just kind of like tearing her hair out trying to do this. And it's kind of like, rah, rah, rah. But it makes sense. People want to see how you are on video, I would imagine, because so many jobs involve that these days.
Yes, you're always on Zoom or Teams meetings, and like the bad resumes or video resumes that I have seen is like when people are like rolling in their chair for 3 minutes, looking all over the place. You really have to focus on the camera and bring your energy, because if you speak really slowly, people get bored after a couple of seconds and they don't even watch the whole 3 minutes. So I think it's like all resumes. Please show them to somebody else before you send it, because it's good to have external feedback with somebody else's eyes.
Oh, absolutely. And I hear you on the slow talker. We watch a lot. My husband and I watch a lot of news, and you get used to kind of the pundits and who they are. And there's one guy. He's a great guy, but he comes like, I'm like, okay, here's the slow talker. And it's just kind of it's going to be and I think it would make a difference too with the whole idea of being the good fit these days, that your energy can make a difference one way or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So moving on, what else is important on LinkedIn profiles, and kind of maybe what do you see a lot of that people should not be doing?
Well, I think one of the important things to be doing is to put the open to work on your profile. And there are different options. You can put your 5 preferred job titles, and really the job titles that come from the menu. So don't invent your own job titles, but really the ones that correspond, because it's a keyword search. And there you can put the addresses where you want to work. So if geographical areas, if somebody has put a very specific city and not anywhere else, I don't contact them for a position in another city. So I already know upfront. And also, if you're immediately looking, or if it's something that you're open to having a conversation but not actively looking. And I think everyone should have that option, even if you think, I will never ever go back to corporate life, or because I'm an entrepreneur. If there is an opportunity that really matches with your experience, your unique experience, just be always open to have those conversations. And when somebody reaches out to you, always reply, even if it's not the right timing. Just reply, because the LinkedIn algorithm puts you on top as a candidate if we have had previous exchanges or
wow.
with somebody else in the same organization. So
Wow.
that's why it's always important to take the time and not send the automated message, but change it a little bit, because I get the automated message in different languages, depending in which profile language your profile is. I get it in French, I get it in Dutch, in English. So I know how it sounds in every language. So I know when you haven't even taken a minute to personalize the message. So it's valuable for your future.
And I bet it sounds, I bet it sounds boring in every language as well.
Yes, and it's always the same thing, and I don't reach out in the same way. So why would anyone think that others appreciate it if you sound like a robot?
You know, and someone has asked about the open to work, so I'm glad you mentioned that. But what about the, because I know that you can be open to work and have recruiters be alerted, but not necessarily, you don't need to have the green banner. You can or you cannot. So what's your take on the green banner? Because I hear mixed things from candidates and from my, you know, my colleagues and recruiters.
Yes, there are mixed messages, but if you're in a position right now in a company, and you want to find a new job without others knowing about it, then definitely don't wear that banner, because when you fill in the open to work, that's only visible to recruiters outside your own company. The banner, if you're unemployed and looking for work, the banner is not keyword searchable. It's only visual. So people in
Okay.
your network will see that. Maybe people are always kind and helpful. So when they see that somebody has that banner, they might help you if they know about it. But there is also the bias that we as recruiters have. About discrimination when it comes to people who don't have a job. So it's as much as on our side as on the candidate side. So there is no one size fits all, but just think about it. What is the right for you? If you want to send DMs to your network explaining more what you're looking for, or if you want to have it visible for everyone, it's really your own choice.
So I, you know, so the thing is, sometimes people think they're alerting recruiters if they put the banner up, but they're really not, because you're seeing it on the back end. So what you're saying then is, and I, based on the little bit that I know about recruiters, that you're just seeing like the headshot. So if you see the headshot with the green open to work, then you know immediately, before you even really looked at their profile, that they're unemployed.
Well, there is the other part that's called open to work, that you fill in with the keywords, and
Mhm.
that is the one that I'm looking at. That
Okay.
really gives me the information. The green one, I can't find it in a keyword search. And the open to work, that comes up as on the first page, because they are people who are more likely to respond. So
So I guess what I meant, and I said it, I asked the question badly, is if a recruiter sees the open to work, yes, just in their search, that it may bias them against somebody, thinking before they even look at them that, oh my goodness, you know, that I've had people say that it can look desperate. if people put the banner up. I don't know. There's so many. That's one of the things. It's kind of like the length of a resume. Like it seems like everybody has a different opinion.
I think we agree on the length of the resume, but really, you don't know why the person is unemployed, because like COVID, everyone understood why people were unemployed at the same time. So there are so many things that happen in a person's life. That's why I take a long time to interview each and every candidate to understand their whole career, their motivation, what's driving them. So it really doesn't. It used to be in the past that career gaps and sabbaticals were not accepted, but nowadays, people are more open-minded about traveling and going back to school or whatever you're choosing, instead of being from one workplace to the other without without any breaks in between.
Well, I thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. And my understanding from what I hear here and there was the same thing. So I just want to say hi to some of our friends. We have a bunch of friends here today. So hello, Jeff. We're so glad that you could make it as well. And hi, Severin. I'm sure I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly.
Yes.
Glad that you were able to join us. And here is our mutual friend, John Aspirian. Lovely to see you here with us as well. And here's, my buddy, Sarah, who was just actually in Europe, saying she was just visited, I believe, Belgium, and she loved it there. So yeah. So excited to have you here as well. And also we have our friend Kevin D. Turner, who mentioned the government ID verified profile. I think he's the first one I heard it from. And Jeff had mentioned that it's a US thing right now. So I know it started rolling out, I think about a month ago, and they're doing it through ClearChecks. And all I had to do to get verified was to scan in my driver's license through their app. And it was just like 1, 2, 3. And unlike some of the other, platforms, you don't have to pay to be verified here. So
it's a good idea to do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. So hi, Varsha. Yeah. Oh, it's like, okay. Thank you for joining us. So you know how to pronounce all these names. And here's Craig Allen. So nice to see you, Craig. He was my guest last week. He was so fun. So fun. And of course, our very good friend, Jillian. Yeah, we love you too. We love you too, Jillian. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about too is whether or not people should contact recruiters. Now, I know there's a lot of mistaken idea out there that like recruiters are there to find you a job. Like, I hear people say, I'm going to contact a recruiter and, to get a job. And, I know, and perhaps you could explain further, that you don't work for the candidates. So, if you can talk a little bit about maybe how candidates, people looking for a job, might engage with you and how you would like to maybe be approached.
Yes. So I think it's so important to be strategical about it. So first think make a target list of the companies where you would like to work, like at least 20 companies. Make a list of those, and then contact people who work there. And also, when it comes to headhunters, look in which geographical areas they are working in which industries, if there is a match. Like if you are working in the aviation industry, there are headhunters who specifically work with aviation, and it's a global industry. So definitely reach out to those people. And if you reach out, do it in a friendly way. Don't send your CV automatically to me. Wait before I ask, could you please send me your CV? It's so much nicer than get all the documents straight away in the first communication. So if you're connected to people in the company where you want to work in the future, that also gives a positive signal to the algorithm. You will come on top of the first or second page if you are following the company and if you have internal connections in the company. It doesn't have to be only recruiters. It can be somebody from other departments, but the fact that you are connected with somebody shows that you're interested. And the same thing, follow those 20 companies where you want to work, because that shows that you're interested, and then recruiters are more likely to reach out to you because that gives already an indication that you're interested, because every company is competing with all the other companies in the world. So it's difficult for them, even for Microsoft. They don't know if you would like to work for them, but if you have followed their company page, that is already a very good indication.
Yeah, everybody wants to be wanted, right? And employers want to know that you want to work for them, not just, oh, well, I need a job, it sounds interesting. They to show you have that connection. So I'm curious too about researching the company. And I know one of the things that I used to do when I worked contingency is, I was really more of the screener and passing on people who looked good to the hiring manager. I was not nearly as involved as you are, with your clients. But I would always ask people, if they knew anything about the company, and sometimes, no. And then sometimes they say, oh, yes, I was doing something with a magazine. Oh, yes, I read the magazine and this and that. And, I would pass that on to the hiring managers that, yes, they know and they're interested. So, how can people convey that maybe even before they're in a job interview?
Yeah, that's a good point. And also the fact that you have followed the company, it shows the date and the month and year that you started following. When I see that somebody has followed my company for 4 years, then I know, okay, so we are working in the same industry. So that's really interesting. So don't just start following companies the month that you need a new job, but really do it before. And what was your question again?
No, well, how do they do it before they get
Yes.
to the interview stage? So I guess it's the following. Is there anything else they can do?
Yes, like you mentioned, looking up the website, looking up the annual report, but also often I contact people who have sent their CVs to the company. So the company also forwards them for me to do the screening of, so they are not internal, but they are external candidates who have already shown interest. But often they don't even remember which company it was. They don't remember which position. And that gives a really, really bad first impression. So if you're applying to jobs, do the old school thing, print out the job descriptions, have them with you or in your phone, take a picture of them. So you remember where you have applied, because it really doesn't come across well that you are applying for 100 positions. You don't care which company, just like throwing spaghetti on the wall. People really, you can't to do too much research before going to an interview and make a good impression, because companies notice if you know about their pain points and come with solutions. So this gives a really, really good first impression.
So we are almost out of time here, but I would, if you have a few minutes, I'd like to ask you kind of one more question, and then have you give some final thoughts. And anyone watching this or listening to it on the podcast, you must follow Tina, but also subscribe to her newsletter, because she shares so many fabulous insights. It's called Insights from a Headhunter, right? Your newsletter as well.
Yeah.
So absolutely do subscribe. Now, my question for you is, you also when I first met you, you were basically only headhunting, but you in the past couple of years have started doing sort of career counseling, career coaching as well. So kind of what led you to expand and do that as well?
Well, I see every day what can be done better on LinkedIn profiles and on the resumes based on my experience. And then people started reaching out to me and asking if I could help them. And it was really the demand. And I enjoy that part. I am so happy when one of my clients gets a new job, when they do well at an interview. I do the happy dance. So it really is something that really makes me happy. So I enjoy those two parts of my job. And of course, with the candidates we present to companies, I also coach them before they go to meet the company, that they know about the company culture and what they can, how they can best prepare for the interview. So it's a step between the company and understanding the match, and that's really what brings me job satisfaction.
Well, I knowing you as well as I do, people are lucky if they get to work with you. So, before we do say goodbye, I'd just like to ask you. So we have talked about a bunch of different things. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that that I haven't asked you and we haven't discussed? And it is great to see all of our friends out there chatting away in the comments. So, lovely to see you all, and glad you're enjoying the show here. So,
I think it's. Use the platform, be active here, and if you apply for a job through LinkedIn for that company, if you have in the past applied through LinkedIn, that also gives the algorithm a positive indication that it puts you on top of the list. Any candidate with whom I have been in contact with, if they have the open to work notification, I get a notification, even if it was 5 years ago. So build relationships before you need them. So be active on the platform, because you will get so much back if you put in the effort.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing so much fabulous information. I know people are saying you're dropping gems, and I know this will be helpful to so many people who are looking for a job. And, of course, it's been a treat to chat with you, as it always is. So we're over time now, so we'll say goodbye. Thanks again. And thanks to everyone who has been here with us today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.